So now let's say I decided I'm getting a COO. I figured out what the type of person is I'm looking for. I go out in the marketplace, I miraculously find the right person. How do you deal with separating the CEO who tends to get an idea in the shower in the morning and come into the office and say, "Hey, we're doing this," and it's like an about face from what we were doing the day before, to the COO whose job it is to make sure that we stay on track with our goals and our projects and responsibilities that we set out to? How do you deal with that dynamic when you haven't had it before? And now you've got somebody who maybe is pumping the brakes for you, or doing a check-in to try to make sure that you're not blowing up the company after you just made a smart move the day before.
It's evolving as a leader. It's you as a leader evolving and growing and getting better skills at being able to lead, not manage, at being able to align and inspire versus hold accountable. I was asked by Fortune magazine 20 years ago, how do you hold your employees accountable? I said, I don't. I hire accountable people, right? So, I mean, you're a dad, you've got 2 daughters that are getting married this summer. You teach your daughters how to pour orange juice in the morning and tell them to make their bed and put their clothes away? Of course not.
Not anymore. I did that at some point.
You buckle up their seatbelt in the car for them before you drive away? Of course not. Well, that's because they've grown, right? And then your job as a dad has had to evolve as well. Well, that's very similar to our job as a leader in a company. When your company is very small, it's very much command and control. Here's what we're doing, go get it done. You're showing people what needs to get done. You're often showing people how to do it because there's nobody else around to do that stuff. But as the company scales, you start to move through that zone. And then your job is more aligning people and growing people and recruiting people and inspiring people and getting the heck out of their way. It's just an evolution that we need to go through as a leader. And it's a skill that we need to get better at.
You work with COOs on a regular basis. What do you find to be the biggest struggle that the COO themselves have that they need help getting coached through or working around? What is the challenge that they have when they're working within the organization?
And it's funny, this is almost, I shouldn't say it's every COO, but the most common thing that COOs or second in commands have to work on, and this is consistent all the way up to when I was coaching the CEO and the COO at Sprint. I was coaching the COO for 18 months. His base salary was 2.7 million a year. I mean, he was paid very well, and the CEO was running the 82nd largest company in the United States. The biggest issue that they had was time to stay in sync, to have healthy conflict, to have good communication about the business and issues without the rest of the team around, almost like a husband and wife in a traditional marriage where they need time away from the kids. They need to have date night. They need to have healthy conflict. They need to talk about their goals together. Otherwise, they grow apart, or otherwise they don't talk about the real shit. That's one thing that is very common, regardless of the size, is they need to have time for just them and the CEO to stay on the same page, to get in sync, to have good, healthy discussions, to have the emperor, new clothes discussions where, hey, you're naked and nobody's willing to tell you, and to do it in a safe place. And then also to just reconnect and have fun together and like each other. That's probably the most common thing that I see.
Yeah, I love that. And it's interesting because you equate it to a husband-wife relationship, and it does become interesting when, especially if like one is male and one is female, and then they're spending so much time together, and it's like, and people start to wonder, like, what's going on here? I even look at one of my mentors and how close he is with his COO, and it's true, like you really need to have that kind of relationship to get things done and to put on those rocket boosters for your company. Like when you're in sync, that's when the magic happens. So you got to figure out the right formula to make that work.
Yeah. And again, it's critical if we don't actually set the time in our calendar to be able to have those discussions. I remember when I was starting up the franchising group for what's now Gerber Auto Collision in the US, it was called Boyd Auto Body at the time in Canada. And I talked to the CEO and I said, I need to have a 1-hour meeting with you or a 30-minute meeting with you every week at fixed time. And he's like, I don't need that. I'm like, no, it's not about you. I need it. Like, I need time with you, for you and I to stay in sync, for me to bounce ideas off you, for you to hold me accountable, for us to give each other shit on stuff, for us just to hang out and find it, for me to figure out where we're going. I need that time. right? So I had to ask for what was important to me. Yeah, I equate a lot of it to a marriage. I need time away from the kids, right? I need time away from the rest of the leadership team to just talk, right? I need time to have fun and reconnect so I like you and so that you like me, so that we enjoy working together and so that it's not just work. Because at the end of the day, none of this shit actually matters, right? This is just what we do to make money, regardless of what business we're in. We're all going to die.
Yeah.
So we may as well have some fun along the way too, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And figure out how to enjoy that journey.